Hello everyone. So in this particular video, I'm going to present a very interesting topic and it is Volvox. So it is a beautiful colonial green alga, often called as a rolling ball of cells. Through this presentation, I'll be sharing its structure, journal features and how it represents one of the best example of evolution from unicellular to multicellular forms in algae. So let's start with the video. You can see the structure of Volvox under the microscope. It appears as a small group of green spherical colonies floating together. Each large sphere that you see in the image is actually a single Volvox colony, also known as synobium. The colony is hollow and made up of many small cells arranged in a single layer on the surface, just like tiny green dots forming a ball. These individual cells are similar to Chlamydomonas cells, having a cell wall, chloroplast, and two flagella also. Now let's move on to the another page in which we are talking about the classification of Volvox. So here we can study about both type of classification, the one which is given by Fridge and the another one that is given by Lee. So according to Fridge, he placed Volvox in division Algae, class Chlorophyceae, order Volvocales, family Sphaeriales and genus Volvox. According to Lee, the division is Algae, class is Chlorophyceae, order Volvocales, family Volvocaceae and the genus is Volvox. Let me show you the another page or in which I have shown you the Volvox structure. So here we can see the microscopic view of Volvox. So the large pink colored circular structure is the parent colony, which is spherical and hollow in nature. Inside it you can clearly observe several small dark green or bluish clusters, I can say. So these are the daughter colonies. These daughter colonies develop asexually within the parent colony. After they mature, the parent colony disintegrates and release them into the water. Each daughter colony then grow into a new independent Volvox colony. This shows how Volvox reproduce and maintain its colonial organization. Start with the introduction part of the Volvox. So the name of the genus is derived from the Latin word, that is your Volvera. Volvera means to roll. So it is a very large green motile colonial alga that integrates as a colony that having a definite number of cells arranged in a precise manner, and this precise manner cell arranged number is called as your synobium. Now moving forward, so let us talk about the journal features of Volvox. So Volvox is a freshwater colonial alga that can be found in ponds, pools and ditches, I can say. And the thallus of Volvox is spherical, hollow and synobial that consist many biflagellated cells. Cells are chlamydomonas like, each with a cell wall, chloroplast, pyrenoids, nucleus and having two flagellas. All the cells are embedded in a gelatinous matrix and connected by cytoplasmic bridges. The colonies show polarity, that means the distinct anterior and posterior ends. You can easily distinguish between the both ends, like what is the posterior end of Volvox and what is the anterior end of it. And the movement occur by coordinating beating of flagella, making it roll in water. The nutrition should be autotrophic as they perform photosynthesis, and asexual reproduction occur by daughter colonies, and sexual reproduction is basically occur by oogamous. Moving forward, let me tell you about some morphological features of Volvox. So the structure, that is your synobium, and is a hollow spherical colony that made up of mucilage, and the cell number of Volvox, so it basically contains 500 to several thousand cells arranged at the periphery. Cell type, if we are talking about it, then each cell is chlamydomonas type, like they resembles like a chlamydomonas, and the matrix, like all the cells are embedded in a gelatinous matrix. The protoplasmic bridges, that are the cells which are interconnected by protoplasmic bridges, they are remnants of incomplete separated protoplast, and so the cytoplasm of cell is continuous through these bridges. And what is the function of these bridges? So these bridges help the particular cell, means the Volvox, to coordinate and synchronize the flagellal movement so it can move easily in the water. Here I have added another photograph of Volvox in which you can easily see the egg cell oospore, daughter synobium, and anthrozoidal bundles. So, and these structure that are coming outside the Volvox cell, these are the flagella that help in the movement of the particular cell in the water. So, there are two flagella present in each node. If you can see, there are two flagellas. Now let me tell you about some reproductive phase of Volvox. So during this stage, the colony prepares for reproduction and some important structural changes that take place in it. First, the protoplasmic bridges that connect the cell start disappearing as the colony enter reproduction. The extracellular matrix, or I can say ECM, it plays an important role here. It has basically four main zones. First one is the flagellar zone, second is boundary zone, third is cellular zone, and the fourth one is your deep zone, each with specific glycoproteins. The outer boundary of the ECM looks quite similar to the cell wall of Chlamydomonas, while the inner part is chemically different. Under the microscope, these spherical colonies called synobia are even visible to the naked eyes also. And each cell of the colony has its own gelatinous sheath and two flagella which project outwards and help in movement. The colony shows polarity. The anterior cells have larger eye spots that help in movement towards the light. The function of eye spot is basically movement of your particular cell towards the light, and the vegetative cells are green, non-dividing, and mainly present in the anterior region. So, during reproduction, some posterior cells enlarge and become gonidia, which are non-flagellated but reproductive cells. These gonidia divide asexually to form new daughter colonies or produce gametes during sexual reproduction. Once their function is complete, the somatic cell dies and the colony eventually disintegrates to release daughter colonies. So, overall, this phase represents the shift from vegetative reproduction, or I can say the vegetative growth, to reproductive activity in Volvox, and it shows how simple cell differentiation occurs in this colonial alga. Slide. In this particular slide, as we have talked earlier, that the particular cell divided into a gonidium and a somatic cell structure. So this is the same that we have talked about here. The reproduction. So it is basically divided into two parts. First one is your sexual reproduction and second one is your asexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, the oogamous leads to the formation of zygote and a new colony. But in asexual reproduction, gonidia, we have gonidia, and these leads to the production of your daughter colonies. Let us talk about the asexual reproduction. So, in asexual reproduction, there are two types of cells. First one is your somatic cells that are also known as your vegetative cell that are non-reproducing, motile. Eventually, they die, and gonidia, that is your immotile reproductive located in the posterior part. So gonidia act like stem cells means जहाँ से हमारे cells like हमेशा generate होते रहे, new cells हमेशा generate होते रहे, and it start dividing repeatedly to form a new colonies. First division is your longitudinal division, but the second division, that is your longitudinal, but it is perpendicular to the first one, and repeated division forms a hollow sphere, means a young colony inside the parent. In young colonies, flagella phase is inwards initially, like firstly they are inwards, and inversion process occur when the colony turn inside out through an opening that is called as your phallophore. So flagella face outwards. When they get mature, daughter colonies are released by rupture of the parent colony. Here is one more slide added, that is a live slide of my classroom. So let's talk about the sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction is strictly oogamous type, means there is a fusion of large egg cell and a small motile sperm cell. So the species could be of two types, like it could be of dioecious species of Volvox, like your Volvera oris, and second could be your monoecious, means Volvera globator, that often protandrous, and it includes by many sort of stress conditions like your high temperature, nitrogen starvation, etc. The male colonies release a pheromone. Pheromone is a sort of hormone that attracts the opposite partner. that is your glycoprotein that induce other colonies to become sexually active, I can say. And gonidia exposed to pheromone produce either a single egg cell or a packet of 1664, means 1664 biflagellated sperm that are known as your enterozoites. Sperm jackets swim to female colonies and they dissolve the mucilage by enzymatic lysis and release sperms. Fertilization, sperms fuse with egg cell that leads to the formation of a zygote, and then this zygote develop a thick spiny wall for perinations and may turn reddish in color. That can be your hematochrome pigments on germination. Like when these zygotes get germinated, only one biflagellated meiotic product survives, other degenerates. This surviving cell divides repeatedly to form a new Volvox synobium. Here is the pictorial representation of the cycles, I can say, asexual cycle and sexual cycle of Volvox. Here you can see the process as we have talked earlier in the previous slide. So here is the same process, like how it gonna under reproduction by asexual and sexual method. Let's move further and talk about the life cycle of Volvox. Cells are haploid in nature, firstly, and they differentiated into somatic and reproductive, means gonidia cells. So the asexual reproduction, when it take place, so the gonidia get divided itself and they form some daughter colonies forms inside parents, means these daughter colonies form inside the parent cells and they get released from parents when they disintegrates. In sexual reproduction, some cells produce egg cells and some cells produce sperm cells. The egg and sperm get fertilized and they leads to the formation of a diploid zygote. The zygote that forms is thick wall. Later it undergo meiosis. One haploid cell survives and it grow into a new colony. So the life cycle is haplontic and the diplontic stage is only zygote stage. When it form zygote, so that particular stage is diplontic, otherwise the life cycle is your haplontic type. Same as we have talked earlier, so this particular structure shows the pictorial representation of the life cycle of Volvox. So let's move on to the another slide in which we are talking about the classification of Volvox, that is given by Lee, means classification with reason. So the Volvox is placed under the group eukaryotic algae. So why we are putting it in eukaryotic algae? So the reason should be like it contains chloroplast that's surrounded by two membranes of the chloroplast envelope. The phylum is Chlorophyta as it contains chlorophylls A and B and storage product starch that is found inside the chloroplast. Class is Chlorophyceae. The distinguishing characteristic of the Chlorophyceae are the theca outside of the cell and the collapsing telophase spindle that bring the daughter cell close together, followed by cell division by a phycoplast. The flagellal root system is cruciate. The order is Volvocales, vegetative, self-flagellated and motile. The family is Volvocaceae as the colonial algae formed into synobia, colonies with definite number of cells arranged in a spherical manner. So with this, we have finished with Volvox. Thank you.